This week's episode of the podcast was inspired by a review we got from a listener on Apple Podcasts. Canadian accents, eh? You really think we have them? Stay tuned to hear more about the Canadian connection. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Hey, Carrie, it's a beautiful day, eh?
It is a beautiful day.
How's it going?
Okay, that just makes me think of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
A beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day. What? Yeah. Wait, now what show is that? Is that Mr. Dressup?
Mr. Rogers.
No, Mr. Rogers.
He's not Canadian. But Mr. Dressup is.
I was like, I thought when I said that, I was thinking Bob and Doug McKenzie.
I know. Eh? You hoser.
Oh, Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm great.
This episode is going to be kind of fun. We got a review that sparked this whole thing and gave us this great... See, if you leave us ratings and reviews, you might spark a podcast episode out of it. I'm going to read the review. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So this review is 5 stars. Woohoo. Love these ladies. Yay. And it's from MGF 1956 on Apple Podcasts in the United States of America. And the title is Love These Ladies. I am so glad I found this podcast. I'm a Disney nerd and I love finding my people. Fran and Carrie make me happy. A little jealous that I don't have a podcast with my BFF. They are fun, informative, and I love when they get silly. I could listen to their Canadian accents all day. Great job, ladies. So thank you so much for that review. And this, we thought it was kind of funny because the Canadian accents. I don't think we have accents. But apparently we do. And yes, so that was from MGF 1956 in the United States on Apple Podcasts. So thank you very much for the 5 stars and for listening. And then we started talking about our Canadian accents and the fact that we are Canadian. And I know like other podcasters and bloggers and stuff who are Canadian who actually don't advertise that they're Canadian. They never talk about it.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't get it either, but I think it's because they think who wants to listen to a theme park podcast or a theme park blogger or a theme park vlogger who doesn't live near the theme parks?
I guess.
But we've never shied away from that because we don't care. That's part of our fun.
We don't care. And generally, we usually travel every 6 weeks, so we're close to.
We don't have the issue about getting there.
We're as close to living there as we can sometimes. So
that's true. That's very true. Plus, that's half the fun is that a lot of our listeners maybe don't live nearby either, so we're more relatable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we did think it was fun to lean in a little bit to our Canadian roots and talk about being Canadian and what being Canadian, what it means to be a true Canadian. So we were both born here.
Yes.
In Canada.
That we were.
Well, thanks for confirming.
And the one thing I think with some of these, like, I wouldn't even necessarily, like, the stuff that we're going to talk about isn't there's no stereotypes, like, because like, it's just true the way that we are, or the way the things that we say, or what we like, or what we do. They're we don't live in igloos necessarily. We don't have polar bears in our backyard unless you live in, where there are some places.
Well, there are some places
in Canada where polar bears can live in your backyard. And you steer clear of them. You don't go anywhere near them. There's those stereotypes about Canada, but generally, everything else is true.
Everything else is true. And it's funny. I never even thought about the the wildlife and things like that. There are plenty of places across Canada where we have all sorts of wildlife. Thankfully, no alligators or crocodiles, but the deer and moose and foxes and Canada geese. We didn't have that on our list, Carrie. Scariest animal if you run into
Canada
it anywhere.
Everywhere. Really, but
they're scary. I don't know about you, but I've been in parking lots where I'm trying to walk to my car and those things are there and they freak me out. They're angry birds. They're very angry and hostile. And yeah, I try not to go near any of them.
Yeah,
any of them.
Yeah, you stay clear of them. And there's lots of wildlife. There's lots of the great outdoors and beautiful, beautiful areas of Canada. But I think the fact is that most of the people in Canada live very, very close to the border. Many, many of them live in southern Ontario. And I think it's like a very high percentage of people live within a couple 100 kilometers of the United States. So like right. Canada's very... has areas that are very condensed with population, and the rest of the country is just this big, beautiful land. And there's people that live everywhere, but most of the people live...
The people that live everywhere.
There's people that live everywhere across Canada. Like Edmonton's pretty far north. We've got people on the Rock in Newfoundland. We've got people, out east. There's lots of people across Canada, but a lot of them live close to...
Yes. Close to the States.
Close to the U.S. And so maybe that's where, there's such a big land with with the polar bear jokes and the igloos and all that stuff. I think Canada is a very large country, space,
right.
Area wise, right? Like probably one of the largest in the world with all of the land we have.
Yeah, and I think you're right. So the stereotypes about us probably. Some of the stereotypes, like the igloos and stuff like that, it applies to a very small percentage of people in Canada. And
like it snows all year round, and we don't have summer.
Yeah,
there's some areas where
maybe
where
that's
it snows
true.
in September and can snow in May for sure.
But we're going to do this from our perspective.
Yes, from our southern Ontario, born and raised.
Yes.
Armpit of Canada, as I like to call it. Canadians.
Yes. So I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario, and I live probably a 10-minute drive from the hospital I was born in.
Same here.
Yeah.
But not in Toronto.
You're just outside of Toronto.
Yeah.
And I say just outside, but to me it's a long drive, but whatever. Mm-hmm. It's close by. So we thought we'd go through some, and you're right. The stereotypes and things that people say about us, for the most part, are true. The only one that I usually take objection to is the word about. I don't know why people think we don't say it right.
Yeah, I don't know.
We say aboot, but we don't say aboot. We're about.
Yeah, I think
it's out.
Yeah,
right?
About. I think that about is maybe how you say it. About. How do you properly say it? About.
We just say about.
About.
There's a bunch of Canadians right now pausing this and going about. I think we say it normal.
I think we say normal, but I think that when we get talking, we do sometimes that little about comes out. But we don't always say it about.
Yes.
It's about time.
It's about
dang time.
In a minute. That's a TikTok video, and honest to goodness, I don't know half the words in it. It's only the first. It's like the first two sentences. In a minute, Amanita, and then I don't understand the rest of. Anyway,
one thing while we were kind of talking about Canada and the location in the vast land that we have, I was hanging out with my friend Glenda yesterday, talking to her about how we were doing a Canada episode, and one thing that she asked me to point out was that. Where we live in southern Ontario, how far south we are. That often with people thinking, do you have to take a toboggan to school, or do you have to do you have to ride a skidoo or a sled to school? but like Toronto and Southern Ontario is very far south. Like there are many, many states that are north of where we live. Right?
That's true.
Compared to, so that was Glenda's 2 cents. She's like, you better point that
very
out.
True. Very true.
You better point that out. Like, you know, how we are Southern and like there's lots of states like the Midwest state, like North Dakota, South Dakota, like all of those states that are probably more like our Winnipeg and Saskatchewan and Alberta temperatures. They're all north of where we live in Southern Ontario. So we are
That's very
south.
true.
So we don't have penguins in our backyards and stuff like that because
oh my gosh, how fantastic would that be to have a penguin?
We're more south than quite a few
very
states.
True.
So
yes.
Anyways, that was Glenda's 2 cents. She
Thank
said
you,
that
Glenda.
you make
That's
sure
a good
that you
good
point
point.
that out.
That's a very good point, Glenda.
So.
Yes, and we do have Canadian listeners, but the majority of our listeners, from what I can see online and on our stats, are not Canadian. So this is educational for them about what it's like for these two Canucks who are Disney loving fans living in Toronto.
Yeah.
All right, Carrie, what's the first? So we're gonna go through some of the things that make us different from the U.S. and things that maybe people in the States just don't get about us.
Maybe some weird things.
Maybe. So what's the first thing you want to talk about, Carrie?
I think we have a few things at the top of the list I don't know that I can pick which one should be first.
So they're no particular order because they're all Canadian.
The top ones are kind of the things that I think are we have 4 at the top of the list. So the first one, I'll just go in order, is Tim Hortons.
Yes. It's a Canadian. Now there are Tim Hortons starting to pop up all over the world.
They're just not the same, though.
They're not the same.
They're called Tim Hortons coffee and bake shops in the United States, but we just call them Tim Hortons, aka we call this coffee. It's a coffee shop, a coffee and donut shop, which also serves now sandwiches and soups and things like that. But it's called Tim Hortons, and we call it Timmy's.
Timmy's?
Did you need anything from Timmy's? Are you going to Timmy's?
Yes. Very true.
And for even coffee, did you want a Timmy's?
Yeah, we don't say, do you want a coffee? Do you want a Timmy's?
Do you want a Timmy's?
Yes.
So we have this coffee shop that's been around forever. It's called Tim Horton because Tim Horton is a NHL hockey player.
He was a legend.
Hockey player, I suppose. I don't know. And he started at the very first Tim Hortons store.
Yes.
Like way back in the day. So Tim Hortons were when we grew up, Tim Hortons were coffee shops. Like, I don't know who went to coffee shops in the 80s. Like, I think we could probably laugh and giggle and make some funny assumptions about who might have hung out in coffee shops.
Oh my gosh,
earlier,
Carrie,
right?
I spent my entire high school but I wasn't in a Tim's. I was in a Mr. Donut. Every night, because you could go there, get a tea or coffee, smoke, drink with your friends.
Yes, yeah. You would go to Tim Hortons to maybe meet up with somebody to have a coffee. Like I don't know that many people drank coffee back then out like that. You drank coffee, you might go in for a donut. Like back then, they only had coffee and donuts.
Yes. There were no sandwiches or extra things on the menu. It was coffee and donuts. It
was definitely just a coffee shop, and people didn't go to coffee shops like they go now. And now, like at a certain point, like kind of maybe when we were sort of out of leaving high school or whatever, Tim Hortons changed something, and the phenomenon of Tim Hortons came about. Like now we have Tim Hortons everywhere. Every hospital, every office building, every corner almost has a Tim Hortons, has a drive-through. Starbucks wasn't even anything really. Like Starbucks was something you had now Starbucks are everywhere, but before you had to go into the city. Like being like in the suburbs, you would have to be in the city to get a Starbucks. So that's just putting it out there, like what it was like. But Tim Hortons everywhere. Like small towns and cities have multiple Tim Hortons. So Tim Hortons
absolutely
it's just what you do. Like we're all Tim Hortons zombies. We get coffee, we get donuts, and then
doesn't matter what time of day you drive by any Tim Hortons in Toronto. There's somebody in the drive-thru.
I don't think there's ever a Tim Hortons in Canada, ever.
Yes.
that would not have someone in the drive-thru. Like, that's how popular Tim Hortons are. Like, there's always somebody inside around the clock, 24 hours a day. And I swear there's always somebody in the drive-thru. When you go to when you drive past donut shops in the US, like, there's nobody ever in any of the drive-thrus. And we always have like 14 people. In the morning, the lines go out the street for people trying to get into the drive-thru to get a Tim Hortons.
Yes.
So they've made iced cappuccinos. That was like, they keep making things to make everybody love Tim Hortons even more.
They keep expanding their menu. I will tell you, their splash or their flavored fruit drinks or whatever, I'm not a fan.
Not a fan?
Their steep tea, I buy their tea bags now at the grocery store. There's Tim Hortons steep tea bags. Red Rose is out. I'm all about the steep tea from Tim Hortons. It's amazing. Yeah.
So everybody loves Tim Hortons.
Everybody loves Tim
whatever.
Hortons.
And the coffee's okay. The coffee was great in the beginning. I don't really remember. And then the coffee, people like it. Like, I think we're past the point of no return. Like, everybody already is like a Tim Hortons junkie. Like, they could like the coffee could be like dishwater, and people be like, give me a double and they and a chocolate glazed and be out of there, right? So, like, we're beyond the point, like, whatever Tim Hortons does,
we just eat it up.
We generally just eat it up.
My relatives, when they come here, they're all about Tim Hortons. And I got to tell you, my cousins were so excited when they went back home after a visit once, and they had just opened a Tim Hortons in Glasgow. So they could go and get their Tim Hortons and Timbits and all of that. And they were sending me pictures going, oh my gosh, look what we have. They were so excited to have a Tim Hortons in Glasgow.
It's pretty crazy. So that's one thing about Canada that is true. We love our
Timmies, and
we like
And double means double cream, double sugar.
Yeah. So when you order a coffee, you ask for a double if you want to.
Right. And most of them, when they just walk up, so I don't drink coffee, but when they walk up to the counter, they don't even say coffee. They just say, "Can I have a double?" And that just means a coffee with two and two. Mm-hmm. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, and
all started by Tim Hortons.
And Tim Hortons, like, one thing I noticed, like, they do make, like, their donuts are, like, they're all over the Canada and the world or whatever. So they've mastered how to, like, mass produce these donuts. Like, they're long gone, I believe, are the days of them making the actual donuts in the stores, right?
There's no donut maker in the back making the donuts
like, they're
anymore.
Making donuts or cooking them and whatever, but like, I think it's different. But they still, like, they've mastered the science of being able to provide, like, a consistent donut across the country. So, because sometimes when I'm in the US, I go to Dunkin's and I get a donut, I'm like, I don't know, like, it's just not like a Tim Hortons donut. It's
not the same.
Like, even Timbits, like, we have the inside circles of the donuts.
The inside, the donut holes, they call them, I think, in the States.
We call them Timbits, which I think everybody in the world knows that right now because of the Tim Biebs. And they were not good. FYI, Justin Bieber's Tim Biebs were definitely not anything to write home about. I was not a fan. Yeah.
And yes, I did run out and get them as soon as they came out.
Yeah, and not everybody's a Tim Hortons, like, zombie junkie, whatever. But you can't deny that
it's a Canadian thing.
Like, for sure.
And it was all started by Tim Horton, a legend hockey player.
Yeah, which kind of goes right to our next point: Canadians and their hockey,
national sport. It's like a religion to some. Now, I will admit, I think over the years, it has changed a little bit. Basketball seems to be very popular these days.
Yeah, but not like hockey.
Hockey is just, like, I don't know about you, but I grew up in a hockey household where my parents arrived in Canada from Scotland in 1967 when the Leafs won the Stanley Cup. It was the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup. So my dad arrived and saw that game and was like, that was it. He was a hockey fan for life. And growing up I knew as a small child that I was not allowed to walk in front of the television when a hockey game was on. Like, that was like the worst thing I could commit. The worst offense I could commit in my house is to walk in front of the TV during a hockey game. Because, of course, you couldn't rewind. And 9 times out of 10, if I walked in front of the screen while it was on, they would score a goal and my dad would miss it. So growing up in my house, it was definitely, it was a hockey focused house. Mm-hmm. Very much so. And my dad watched every game. I can still remember the names of the referees from when I was a kid. Andy Van Helmen was the name of a referee that my dad swore had something against the Toronto Maple Leafs because he always ruled against them.
Yeah, and I think generally, like most Canadians are like, they have a team, they've picked a team, they're Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, whatever. They've picked a side, Ottawa Senators. And then, like, the children now in Canada, like, a lot of kids grow up playing hockey.
Yes.
Which I think has always been, like, that's always been around, right? And now, like, just more kids, I'm sure, are playing hockey in leagues and whatever. So the kids grow up playing hockey. They love hockey.
Mm-hmm. There's hockey rinks everywhere. So hockey is where it's at. Like, the one thing that's funny about Canadian hockey fans, and us, like, with our Ontario, where we live in Ontario, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like you said, like, the last time they won was in what 1967. And they most years they don't even come close to anything. Yeah,
but
and
the
it's
Toronto
a huge
Maple
event.
Leaf fans are crazy. Like, they are. I don't know right now, but I'm sure in the past they've been, like, probably one of the most profitable teams because of, like, what they can charge for their tickets and what they, like, the merchandise and everything. Like,
yeah,
like, these fans are strong, and every year nothing, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Their blood runs blue, these fans.
I don't know what will happen in the city of Toronto when it's funny, I had a big debate with some guys at work one year about if remember when the Raptors won and they had, like, this big parade downtown and everybody, like, left work to go downtown and go to this parade. And we were arguing about what would be bigger, the Raptors parade or if the Leafs won. And I say, hands down, no contest, if the Leafs won. Even people that don't watch sports anymore. Like, I don't watch hockey anymore. I did for years, but I don't really anymore. But let me tell you, if the Leafs were in the playoffs, I'd be watching. And if they won, I'd be crying. And I don't even know the players anymore. But just the Toronto Maple Leafs winning a Stanley Cup would be so emotional for everyone, I think, in Toronto.
Yeah, I agree. And think about if they did win, how many more fans they would have.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
Like, there's already so many. But, like, yeah. Like, because you know how proud, like, no matter what, like, even if you, it wouldn't be me. Like, I do not like hockey. Like, I've won hockey tickets, like, really good seats, and not went to the game. Like, there's no way.
Gosh.
It could be.
And you call yourself a Canadian.
Exactly. Like, I don't really love the Tim Hortons, and I don't like hockey. Like, even if they were in the playoffs and someone gave me tickets, I would give them to someone who really wanted to go. Like, I wouldn't even go. But so many people would become fans and talk about how proud, like, yes. Canadians are proud. And oh my goodness, if that ever happens, I don't know.
It would be epic.
Just like Canada, just one big fireworks.
We're never going to get through this episode because you and I could talk about some of these things.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Okay, let's move on. So we got Tim Hortons and hockey. The next one, Poutine. Poutine is, and I have to be honest though, this one I know we're known for, but I don't think I had poutine until maybe like 15, 20 years ago. I never had it as a kid. Did you?
No, I'm not. And here, this is horrible. Like,
you're not a cat. Like, we're going to kick you out.
I'm probably going to have to move out of this country at the end of this episode. I never really eat it. It's delicious when I do eat it.
I do like it.
It's delicious. And I think the only reason why I think that I stand behind this as being something that's true about Canada is that if you try this poutine anywhere else, it's horrible. Like, you really need to have, like, the poutine at, like, fast food restaurants in Canada is light years better than what you get anywhere else.
And for Disney fans listening, I will tell you now, I have tried it twice because I thought maybe the first time was a fluke, and it was not. I'm generally very positive about all things Disney. Do not eat at the poutine little thing at Disney Springs. It is absolutely horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, it's something that probably should just be left for when you come to Canada. They shouldn't try to.
Yeah, don't eat
because
poutine
people don't know, it's French fries, gravy, and cheese curds.
Cheese curds.
Not mozzarella cheese in a baggie, cheese curds. Salty, delicious, squeaky cheese curds.
Cheese curds. Squeaky cheese. It's got to be squeaky cheese.
Is what makes that delicious. It is delicious. I just never...
It is.
I find my niece loves it. Like, she grew up eating poutine all the time, but I when we were kids we didn't eat it because it wasn't like they didn't have it at the fast food restaurants. If we went on a trip to Quebec City, we would have got to try it, or Montreal.
Yes,
we would have had it there, but we didn't
but it wasn't
when
something
we went to
that was
Montreal
readily
or Quebec
available.
City for our grade 8 class trip. We got to eat tortillas and stuff. They didn't bring us any poutineries to when we were there for our grade 8 trip. Is
it poutine? I hear some people call it Poutine.
Poutine. I don't know.
Poutine?
I think we just say it.
I don't think we
way.
say it right. Anyway,
But not poutine. It's poutine.
Poutine. It depends.
Poutine.
For me, it's about the cheese, but also the gravy. The gravy is very important. The gravy is very important. You know who has really good poutine? Is A&W. FYI.
Yeah.
I really like their
Harvey's. I think
Harvey's
has really
is pretty good.
One has good too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But I never order it. I never ever order it. I think the last time I probably had it was when I was on the cruise from Quebec City to New York City, and I had it in its homeland.
Oh, I like it.
Delicious. So since I'm not, I wouldn't order it any time. I'll save it for I'll save it when it's appropriate. I'll eat it when appropriate.
Yes, and it's never appropriate in Disney Springs at the poutine stand. I'm sorry, but it's just not good. It's just not good. Okay.
Now, the next one is one, we'll probably talk about the next one quite a bit, and then we can try to breeze through the rest of our list because we'll be here all day. It'll be, So We're Canadian, Part 4.
I feel like we should just apologize to everybody listening right now.
Good segue.
Yeah. So the thing that Canadians are known for around the world, and we cannot argue this because it is true, we say sorry all the time.
Yep.
Even like just regular, if you say something and I don't hear you, I go, sorry?
Yeah.
Like, it's a question because I didn't hear you, but I'm apologizing because I didn't hear you, even if you're whispering.
Well, and I think another example would be, and this is where it's a little ridiculous, and we don't even know how we don't even have any control over this. This is just what we do. I don't know how how we see our parents do it, so then we do it.
Maybe,
but
I don't know.
Say you walk up, like two people are approaching a door.
Yes.
And you're both like a foot and a half away from the door, and you look at the person and you say sorry.
Yes.
And you let the other person walk through the door.
True.
Something
True
like
story.
that.
True
right?
story.
Like we say sorry before there's even a reason
to be sorry.
Remotely reason. It's not like it's not like I bumped into the person as we were both trying to squish through the door. We
That's
just go, oops,
so
sorry.
true.
And we let because we're being polite because we both approached the door at the same time.
But we apologize. But I don't know why
Sorry.
we're apologetic, but it just happens that way. And it people say that, Canadians say sorry, but then they think, that's kind of made up. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. Wherever we go, we apologize for things.
Yeah.
Even if there's nothing to apologize for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could apologize for how long we've been talking about, Tim Hortons, hockey, and poutine. But,
sorry.
But I digress. But absolutely, everyday life, that we say sorry an enormous amount of times. We just do.
It's just what we do, and we probably don't even notice it.
No, even when you get those telemarketer calls, I apologize to them before I hang up on them. Like I say, I'm sorry, I don't have time. Click.
Yeah, it's just a weird one, and we have no control over it. It's just a part of what we do.
It just happens. It just happens.
But yeah, weird. There's so many weird scenarios around that one. And that one and A, like we always say, we do say A.
We do say A.
And we don't know how it happens, why it happens.
Well, it's almost, we use A to make anything into a question. Mm-hmm. So, that was good, A. Because we're because we're just asking someone to validate or agree.
That's the thing.
It's kind of an agreement.
We're looking for validation, eh?
Yes. I think that's what happens. And we don't even notice we're saying it until somebody points it out. And then it kind of, then yes. So we do have some weird words. And well, they're not weird words, or things that we thought about were different from what people in the States might say. And it's funny because, Carrie, when I was growing up, my mom had sayings and I never knew. And I think this is what happens to kids. You get so much of your language from your parents, but I never knew how much of my language from my parents was from Scotland or Canadian. And quite frankly, some of my Scottish quote unquote sayings I learned as an adult, my mom made up. They weren't real Scottish sayings. So then I would say them and people would look at me, even if I said them when I was in Scotland, and people would look at me like I was nuts because I never knew. So I would often ask my sisters, like, is that a mum saying or is that a real Scottish saying? I don't know. But so in Canada, we have Canadian words for certain things that are different than other places.
You're right. Quite a few. And I don't know if it's across Canada or just, again, an Ontario thing. Or
Ontario
whatever.
thing. Right. But, okay. So the first one is, we call it pop.
Not soda.
No. And I always think of soda, like soda water.
Pop. Soda water.
Soda pop? What is this? The Outsiders? Remember that? Wasn't that his name? The Outsiders?
I think
soda
that's
pop?
I think that's the full name. It's called soda pop, maybe.
I don't
know. I don't know.
Oh. Because we don't call it soda.
Maybe.
It's just pop.
It's pop.
Can I get a can of pop?
Can I get a can of pop?
Yes.
And the pop can be, what kind? Pepsi, 7-Up, whatever. We just say a can of pop.
7-Up. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that now. Sprite. Yeah. Can of pop.
When I was in when I was in the States last, like when I was at Disney and I was stayed off site and I went shopping, I went to the outlet or whatever, and I did a little bit of exploring and I saw a machine that sold like pineapple Fanta.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, and I think, okay, like, do you really, like, I had a little chat with myself. I'm like, oh, I need that pineapple Fanta. And I'm like, Carrie, do you really need a pineapple Fanta? Like, we don't really see, like, we see cream soda, grape, and orange up here, generally.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Carrie, you really need that. And I talked myself out of it. I'm like, that's probably going to give you a bellyache because you're going to guzzle it because it's delicious. I didn't buy the pineapple pineapple Fanta, but no joke. I walked into our like superstore or something, and they had cases of pop, and no joke, they had a 12-pack of pineapple Fanta.
And you just wanted it so bad, didn't you?
Yeah, and again, I was like, that's a big skid. I go, I don't think I need to buy it right now. And I think, because if I buy a 12-pack, I'm going to drink all of them. Like, you know, when you have something that you want to drink, and when you drink it, you know you're just going to guzzle it because it's so delicious.
Yes.
Well, I didn't buy it, but now I know that I can have.
You can get it, but next time. Yeah.
Maybe we can always buy pineapple Fanta, but generally you don't see pineapple Fanta here.
I don't think I've ever looked for pineapple Fanta.
It's delicious. Oh my goodness. Anyways, back to that. And that's a pop. So I would ask for a pop. Which kind? The pineapple Fanta.
Right.
I want a pop.
Okay.
A soda pop.
Next, we call it a chocolate bar.
Yeah, we don't have candy bars.
I don't know. Candy bar makes it sound like candy to me sounds like a licorice or.
And there's no candies in bars. There's chocolate bars. Candies are in packages.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Candy to me sounds like licorice or like jujubes or things like that. Smarties. Yeah. Okay. So we call it a chocolate bar. This one, you know, Carrie, this one, I've never called it a toque. I don't know who calls it a toque. They say they call
Canadians
it a toque in Canadian.
Well, what do you call it? What would you?
A hat.
Yeah, I would call it a hat too. But it is a toque.
I would just call it a hat versus elsewhere it's called a beanie. But
I never called it a beanie.
I've never called it a beanie. Well, we call it, you know, those things like that cancer patients wear. We call that a beanie.
Yeah, that's
we call that Becky's beanie. Like when she lost her hair, we called it a beanie.
I think that is a beanie, but I think a toque that you would wear, a hat that you would wear in the winter time,
a winter hat,
is a toque or a hat.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever called it a toque.
Oh.
I would just call, like, where's my winter hat?
Where's my winter hat?
Where's my winter hat? As opposed to my summer hat, which would be like a baseball hat. Anyway, okay. We call it a couch.
Yeah. We don't regularly call them sofas.
No, I don't know.
Or Chesterfield.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Chesterfield, we called it.
Yes. I think that's more like old school. But
yeah, that's old school.
We call it a couch.
Yes. True. We call it garbage.
Not trash.
Yeah. So even when you see them, they call them trash cans. We still call it a garbage can.
Yeah. We don't say trash.
Not talking about garbage, we don't.
Yeah.
We can see somebody and say,
we think something is trash, but we don't we wouldn't say our garbage that is for the garbage.
Like it's trash day. It's not trash day, it's garbage day.
Yeah.
When you put your bins out.
Garbage day.
Right.
Recycle day.
Yes. Okay, this one, I don't know. I don't know what these things are. I know what... I know what Smarties are.
So, I'll take this one then.
Yeah, you're going to have to, because I don't know what the other is.
So, we have Smarties, which people say that they're like Canadian M&Ms. They are not Canadian M&Ms.
No. M&Ms have like peanuts in them.
Well, I guess they're sort of like a chocolate M&M, a regular M&M. So Smarties, to keep it just general, a Smarties is a Canadian version of a chocolate, of a regular M&M, not the peanut M&M, the regular M&M.
Sorry, so Smarties aren't, so you can't get Smarties elsewhere?
You can't get them in the United States. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me explain the difference.
Sorry.
So,
go.
Smarties are in Canada Smarties, like the chocolate M&Ms.
Okay.
So in the US, they have, you know how we have rockets at Halloween, the little sugary,
that's the thing, I didn't know what a rocket
pucks.
is.
They come in they're little tiny circle candies, and they're twist tied at the end.
Oh, and they're twisted at the end, and you get like a whole sleeve of them, and they're different colors?
Yes. So they're rockets. We have Smarties, which are Smarties, and then we have rockets. And generally, we only see rockets at Halloween. Like rockets are Halloween candy. That's it. Like they're like fillers for Halloween candy, right? Like you buy the good.
You were always pretty disappointed when you got those in your bag.
I like them, but rockets are, so you buy all the good candy, and then like you would fill, your filler would be rockets and like lollipops and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So
you don't get those in the States.
So, but in the US, they have rockets, as we know them, the little candies with the twist ties, but they're called Smarties. So when we say Smarties to people in the US, they think that we're talking about our rockets, but they're not.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
So they call them Smarties.
Interesting.
So they're the same packaging and whatever, but instead of it saying rockets, they say Smarties.
Ah, see? Learn something new every day.
So there's always confusion around that.
I get it. Well, where are you that you're asking for a rocket? That there would be confusion.
No, when we say Smarties,
we say Smartie, they say okay.
Because there's not a lot of candy that's different now between the US and Canada, but we have like coffee. I don't know if they have coffee crisps in the US.
No,
I don't think
so.
Crispy Crunches, I don't think that they have them in the US. They have something similar. They don't have Smarties. So often when we talk about the stuff that we have, we bring up Smarties.
That's very true.
Then they think that we have Smarties, but they couldn't be any more different from each other. So.
Very true. There's certain things that we have that you can't get in the States, because we have friends who live in the States who will ask us to bring certain things to them.
And sometimes things taste a little bit different. Like I think our licorice, I think, tastes a little bit different.
Yeah.
Our
ketchup.
Our ketchup tastes different. Like there's definitely and they're exactly the same. Like they're Twizzlers and they're like they're Heinz ketchup or whatever, but the recipe is a little bit different.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that once because like the chocolate in Scotland versus chocolate here is like night and day, and I remember hearing once that it was because they're allowed to use more, is it cocoa or cacao or whatever they call it in their chocolate than we are. And that's what makes theirs sweeter. But yeah, we don't.
Yeah, and we always talk about our chocolate bars being better, like those Nestle chocolate bars being better. But then, like the ones that you can get in the UK are even better.
Oh my gosh, they are. Yeah, you get some chocolate buttons or a flake or something. Oh. But here in Canada, so we do, our friends, ketchup chips. You can't get ketchup chips in the States.
Yeah, and they're pretty delicious.
Honestly, they're delicious, but they don't really taste like ketchup. They're kind of like, it's like a spicy kind of, it's not, interesting. And then you don't get Swiss chalet sauce there either. That's the other thing that I take from the little packages of the Swiss chalet dipping sauce, the gravy sauce.
The difference between Canada and the U.S. is like with dining, like we have a lot of restaurants, table service restaurants, but in the U.S. there's so many, like so many. But like in Canada, like we don't have very many that are probably across the entire country, like massive chains or whatever. But like the Swiss chalet, like I don't think that Americans would know what a Swiss chalet or
St.
Hubert's, like they're like rotisserie chicken. Like I don't know, like if they're when they used to have Kenny Rogers roasters, if that was sort of the same. But like these are restaurants that like have chickens roasting on spits, and you. Again, over the years, they've started to sell a little bit more, but like you go in and you get a quarter chicken, a half chicken, a double leg, ribs, and you get their fresh cut fries and a salad or whatever, and then their dipping sauce. So at St. Hubert's and at Swiss Chalet,
it's like a spicy
want to go and get the
kind of
dipping sauce.
Dipping sauce. It's different. It's not gravy. It's for your chicken. Yeah. And you can now buy it in grocery stores, like a package of the mix that you can mix this gravy at home, or this dipping sauce at home, and it's delicious. But of course, you can't get it in the States. So
we don't have things like we don't have Olive Gardens here. Like there might be the odd one like out west, but we have like East Side Mario's, and they go bada boom bada bing. There's an East Side Mario's. That's
zoom,
like
bada bing bada boom.
Bada, blah blah. So we definitely have a few restaurants that are completely Canadian, and then we do have some chains that might be the same in the U.S. But yeah, we don't have. Right. Yeah, that's kind of sparse, and
that's different.
It is definitely different.
So we do have some things that are the same as in the States, but we call them different. Yeah. So at night, when you're going to make some dinner, you might call it craft dinner. I'm going to make some craft dinner. Mm-hmm. But in the States, they just call it mac and cheese.
They call it mac and cheese or maybe KD or whatever. But I think the one thing that's Canadian is that we call it craft dinner. Like, we don't say we're having macaroni and cheese. We say we're having craft dinner. Like, craft dinner is craft dinner. Like, there's...
Made by craft.
Yeah. And I think
it's the actual, like, brand name of it.
And it might taste different. Like, it might taste different compared, like, the Canadian versus the American kind. Maybe ours tastes better. That's why people in the States don't like eat it. Like, we love craft dinner. Like, craft dinner's like a lunch staple. If you grew up in Canada, you like...
Isn't that so funny? I never had craft dinner until I was an adult. Like, weird. Maybe 10 years ago. I know. It's weird, right?
But we eat, like, craft dinner is just craft dinner. It's like craft dinner is as Canadian as poutine is, really. And we call it craft dinner. And that's the thing that I think is funny about it. Like, we don't reference it as macaroni and cheese or mac and cheese. It's craft. Like, do you want some craft dinner? Yeah, I don't think that they call it craft dinner in the U.S.
Interesting. And we get our milk in bags.
I think some areas in Canada probably don't have it in bags, but like in Ontario where we are, all of our, like, we have milk in box cartons, like if you wanted 1 liter, but anything above that, we have...
You get like 3 bags in a bag. We get 3 bags
and we put it in
3 individual bags.
Put it in a little plastic carrier and you cut doohickey and you snip it open and then you pour your milk out. And we also have in Canada, our whole milk, which in the U.S. would just be called whole milk. We call it homogenized.
I don't drink that milk. It's too thick.
So that would be like for people that like you'd probably like. I think when you had little kids that were drinking milk, you would have them drink homogenized because it's higher in fat. But I believe because people always ask me like I'm going to need to get like homo milk, homogenized milk for my kids when we're at Disney, and I'm like, I think that's the same as whole milk.
Yeah.
Like they just call it whole milk. We just call it homogenized milk.
Right.
But anyways, that kind of goes in line with the milk. Homogenized milk.
Homogenized. And
the
our
bag
maple
is red,
syrup.
I believe.
It is red.
And maple syrup, I think, is like, maple syrup in Canada is big. Like, I think most of us don't really think about maple syrup very much.
Well,
but
we don't, yeah.
But maple syrup is like, I think it's like 80% of the world's maple syrup is like made in Canada, or from Quebec or whatever. Like when you go to tourist places and everything's maple syrup, maple candies, maple whatever, like there's a reason for it because, you know, it is like it all comes from Canada. But I think there's places that have probably never had real maple syrup.
Yeah.
Like when you make pancakes
so bizarre,
or waffles, like you have pancake syrup. But I really think that there's probably areas that don't have maple syrup, and there's places like here you would only have maple syrup on your pancakes, maybe.
Well,
right?
what else do you put on? I know, like it doesn't make sense to
syrup.
me. People, yeah,
which is corn, which is
yeah,
corn
which is
whatever,
different.
Yeah, whatever type of oil it is, and sugar and corn syrup and whatever.
Yes. Very true.
With maple something in it to make it maple
flavoring.
But maple syrup is pretty big. Like we, you know, even where we live in Southern Ontario, like we don't have to go very far. When we were kids, they would bring us to watch like the maple trees being tapped for syrup and show us how they make it.
That was always like everybody had
stuff.
You know, the same, didn't matter what school you went to. You all had similar outings when you went to school in Canada. One of which was going to see how maple syrup came out of the trees. The other was going to Quebec or Montreal for your school trip.
For your grade 8 trip or whatever.
In middle school and things like that.
Pioneer Village. We always would go to the Pioneer
Village. Casa Loma. Like we all did the same kind of outings and yes.
And maple syrup is expensive.
Yes,
compared to
because it's a long,
syrup.
vigorous process. It's a very labor-intensive process.
And little tiny drips of sap come out of a tree, which they have to like, you know, spend the season getting a bucket of it, and then they boil it down to be like a cup of syrup. Which is why
so good.
Which is why, and it's natural. Like all it really is the sap, you know, boiled and whatever they do to make it into syrup. So it's a pure natural sweetener and sugar, but maple syrup is like gold. Is gold.
It's gold.
And it costs that much too if you want to put real maple syrup on things.
And then, well, so speaking of gold, that brings us into our funny money, Carrie.
Yeah, we do have funny money.
We do have very funny money.
And plus, so the money's colorful.
I don't think it's funny until I go to the States and all their money's the same color.
Yeah,
like,
I think
it would be so easy in the States to give them a $1 bill and a $10 bill because they all look the same. We don't have to focus on the numbers. Yeah, we don't have to focus on the numbers because we can tell how much the money is by the color.
And I think other parts of the world do have colorful money.
Yes.
But we have funny money. Our money is very colorful, like Monopoly money. Like people would always say, oh, your money's like Monopoly money. And we'd be like, yes, it is. Now our money is plastic-ish.
Yes.
Or whatever
it's kind of plastic-ish.
Technology is where it's plasticky and see-through and whatever. We have no more pennies. So pennies are gone. We round up and round down.
Yeah.
And for years and years
everything's rounded to the nickel, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And for years and years and years, we've had the toonie and the loonie.
Yes.
Because that's what Canadians do.
No $1 bill, no $2 bill.
And so when we needed a nickname...
We have a loony or a doonie.
Instead of saying you got $1, you got $1, you got $2, we never say that. The loony is the dollar because it's got a loony.
It's got a loon on it.
A loon on it. A bird. And the toonie is just because it rhymes with loony and it's a $2 bill.
Yeah, and you know what? I got to admit, though, they're cute and they're funny, but they weigh your purse down. Like if you have 5 toonies, so $10 worth of toonies, it's quite heavy as opposed to like 5 $2 bills. It can weigh you down.
Yeah. So that's been a long time in Canada.
Yes, but we're just used to it now.
We're used to it. Yep. And really, who uses, like, we barely ever have cash nowadays.
I never have cash.
There'll probably be no loonies and toonies. one day.
I never, honestly, I always have an issue when I go to service places where you would give a tip. So restaurants are one thing, you can put it on your bill. But if you go to the hairdressers or the massage or wherever, unless they have it as part of their bank machine, you're in trouble if you don't have cash with you.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we're always supposed to. You're always supposed to have some money tucked away somewhere. I never do that.
No,
but we're supposed to always have a little bit of money tucked away for an emergency.
I know. I don't.
When I first I've never really. Like, I have a car now, but I never really had a car until my own car until my car that I have now, like a long time. But my mom gave me, before my car that I have now, my mom gave me her car and I called her Rusty. Her name was Rusty. She was like old. And when my mom gave me Rusty, she had money tucked in spaces because she'd say, you always, so like I'd open up the whatever, if I was ever stuck somewhere, like I knew my mom had like money in like various compartments in the car. Yeah. And then if I used it, I'd have to remember to put it back. Or if my mom was in the car and she noticed that I took that money, she put more money back. Like,
you have to replenish.
If my mom borrowed the car or whatever, or used the car for something, like she needed Rusty, she would, like, when I got it back, like she would replenish the emergency money if we had already used it. Anyways, I always think about that when people say that you should always have money, and we should always have like $20 tucked
I think
somewhere
I have
in
like a $5 bill in my little because I have one of those sleeves from Florida where you put all your credit cards in. Mm-hmm. So I just have, I think I have a $5 bill in there. But anyway,
yeah, I usually don't have anything.
What are you going to get with $5? Nothing. Certainly you're not going to get a 2-4 or a Mickey.
Yeah.
With $5.
No. So a 2-4 is a case of beer.
Yeah. Because there's 24 in it. Yeah. But we don't call it a case of beer. We call it a 2-4.
Yeah. Going to the beer store to get a 2-4. You need anything?
You need anything at the beer store?
And then 2-4. You go, yeah, no, sure. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
We do that, don't we?
Yeah, no. So yeah, Mickey is a little tiny, it's a tiny bottle of booze.
It's like a half bottle of booze.
So yeah, like you can tuck it away somewhere.
Yeah. So you can say, so you would say, I'm going to the liquor store. I'm going to pick up a Mickey of rum or a Mickey of vodka or something like that.
Yeah, pick me up a 2-4. A Molson. A 2-4 Canadian.
2-4 Canadian. I'll take that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie's not a beer drinker.
No Mickeys or no 2-4s for me, please.
No.
No, please. Look at me being very polite. No, please. No, thanks.
Please.
No 2-4s for me, please.
Oh my gosh! I don't even go to the beer store anymore.
No, I'll go. But I don't drink. But do you want me to go pick it up for you? I'll get that for you. Don't worry. I'm swinging by. I'll pick it up for you.
Can you swing by and pick me up a 2-4 on your way in?
Yeah. Okay, I can do that on the way in.
Actually, you know what? Your beer store might have my beer in it. We should talk after this. Okay, so what else do we have? We have postal codes where we live.
Yep.
Not zip codes. So zip codes, and in case you hear this, because I'm never going to be able to get this out of the back of the recording, there's a little beep that keeps happening. Beep, beep. My security system seems to have lost connection with my Wi-Fi. Beep, beep. And every once in a while it's letting me know. Beep, beep. So we have postal codes instead of zip codes.
Yep.
So ours are letters and numbers. It's 6 digits, letter, number, letter, number, letter, number. Mm-hmm. And zip codes in the States are all numbers.
Yep.
And you know how I always remember it? 90210.
Do you ever really what other zip code? Well, we know Florida zip codes probably easy. Like I could ring off a Florida zip code. But yeah, 90210. Like how many times have we had to fudge it to say that we lived in the U.S. and use 90210?
90210. Everybody.
Oh, good grief.
The other thing, so we were looking online when we were doing this, when we were talking about doing this episode about the differences between the Canadians and people in the US. Yeah. And some of the words, like a tool. So we call people, and I kind of, because we do use this, like I know, sorry, but I have used this, a tool to describe a person, meaning they're not so swift, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not so bright. And you would just say, oh, they're a tool.
Yep.
But apparently they don't do that in the States.
I don't know.
They don't call people tools.
Yeah.
But
another one is a click. We call, I guess that makes sense. We call a kilometer a click. Like, I don't know,
yes.
like if you're, like we have words around driving that I think are,
yes.
that are around, that words that we say. I guess that one makes sense because of kilometers.
Because we're in kilometers instead of miles. And we say Z. Like LMNOP
Instead of Z.
Instead of Z. We don't call it a Z. We call it a Z. Did we get them all? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was just looking again, like we, like saying like giver, like to really go for something.
Oh, yeah.
Do we just say that? Does anybody else say that? Like there's like a soaker, like when you step in a puddle, do you guys call it a soaker? Like we call it a soaker. Again, the double, I don't know if people, but yeah, like there's a lot of little words like that we were reading and we're like, do we, like nobody else calls it
Nobody
that?
else says that? We just assume that it's
and
regular
then we were
vernacular.
laughing about how we say, like, and I don't know if, like how when we say yeah, no means no. And if we say no, yeah means yes. Or we say yeah, no, maybe, like how we talk like that. Like, again, are we the only ones who do that?
I think so.
Like,
you would think that this is universal, but apparently
yeah, no
not.
means no. No, yeah means yes.
Yes. So
But
if you've ever
things like that, like that can't just be us.
I think it might be. So I think there are some stereotypes, a lot of them that are totally true, about us Canadians. There are a lot of famous Canadians too.
Like,
and
so many.
We only get credit for the Biebs, and Drake. And I can't stop. So he was on that Degrassi Junior High, the Canadian little
Degrassi Junior High.
Yeah, it was like the Canadian version of Beverly Hills 90210. Like they all lived in Canada, and it was filmed down the street in Toronto. And Drake was on it. So every time I hear about him, because I'm really too old to have grown up with his music, I just think of the Degrassi kid. But we have more than that, famous Canadians.
There's so many. Like everybody that's awesome is Canadian.
Like Keanu Reeves.
People.
Keanu Reeves is known for being... No, but he's known for being kind and nice to work with and things like that. And he's Canadian.
You just have a soft spot for him. You love Keanu Reeves.
I like him. I think he's lovely.
I think a lot of the comedians, there's loads of comedians. Mike Myers and Jim Carrey are Canadian. There's lots of, like Eugene Levy and his son is from, what's that show that everybody watches on Netflix? Is it on Netflix? Everybody loves, like Eugene Levy was was from SCTV and like a Canadian comedian. He was in American Pie. He was a dad in American Pie. If people don't know who Eugene Levy is, although I think everybody knows who Eugene Levy is now. Like he was like a secret, like he was a hidden gem about, like he was this Canadian that was just awesome. He did so many amazing things in so many movies and like there's so many of them that some of them people don't even know they're Canadian. Like him, whereas everybody knows probably that Jim Carrey's Canadian, and there's all the Ryans, Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds is Canadian. There might even be some more Ryans. William Shatner, Michael J. Fox is a very well known, awesome Canadian.
Absolutely.
But, like, the list is long. Like my two arms and your two arms long of amazing, awesome Canadian celebrities.
We've got some good talent coming out of Canada.
They pretty much all become Americans, so.
They do.
So I don't know how far we can talk about how awesome they are.
There's not many of them that still live here. Well, I mean, Drake has a house here, and we only know that because it's like on the bridle path.
He probably has like 5 houses. Just one of them.
Yeah, and you can see like the big gates and fences or whatever around it when you drive by. But
and we can't forget about Michael Bublé.
Yeah, Michael Bublé.
Avril Lavigne.
Yes. Yeah. Shania Twain.
Oh, Shania Twain. Yeah, there's lots of musicians.
Anne Murray.
Yep. I don't know how many people know Anne Murray. Anne Murray.
There may not be a lot of people, but I love Anne Murray. Okay,
Anne of Green Gables.
Carrie.
Yeah?
We got a lot of talent coming out of Canada. We may not be two of them.
Definitely not. We're not claiming that. 100%.
No,
not claiming that.
Yeah, I know. Because I don't know if there's anybody still listening to us right now.
Probably not. So we should talk. We did have a plan how to wrap it up because we are a Disney focused podcast and we wanted to talk about some of the Canadian Disney connections. And the one that I was thinking of yesterday was the Winnie the Pooh, which is close to your heart.
Yes.
Right? Winnie the Pooh is named after Winnipeg, right?
Yes. I love Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, that was so. There are a few ties to Disney in Canada, and the biggest one is the one that we had Gary write about in your podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you were going to read it. Sorry,
or on your blog. Sorry, not your podcast. When Gary came on the podcast, did he talk? What did he talk? He didn't talk about the history.
We talked about Fort Wilderness.
Oh, that's right.
With Gary. Yeah.
So he's written a few blogs for you, and one of his blogs was about this. So
yes, Gary, he knows so much. He's very wise. He's very, very wise in the Disney community, and he's written for some pretty big blogs. So I'm always pretty honored when he writes stuff for me. He shared with us the Canadian connection of Walt Disney, and I'll link to it in the show notes. The whole blog that he wrote. But if you didn't know, Walt's father and grandfather were born in Canada, and his great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather moved from Ireland to Canada via New York sometime before 1842.
So there you go. That's where it all began.
Exactly. So there you go. So we managed to wrap this Canadian episode up with Walt Disney. So this all started from a review. Maybe nobody will leave us any reviews now because they won't want us to do any more of these. But it was
good.
Sitting
on their hands.
We got to embrace our Canadian heritage because we are proud Canadian podcasters.
And it's fun. And it's fun to be Canadian.
It's fun. Yes. Okay, Carrie.
Yep.
What's been some fun in your life this week? What brought you some pixie dust?
So I'll try to keep it quick. But yesterday Glenda and Carrie had a Glenda and Carrie day where we had planned to go to a place about an hour away from where we live. Like we got to go past your house and drive quite a bit.
You got to go the other way.
Yeah. I got to go through Toronto on the other side of Toronto to a store called Puzzles Canada. And we had bought puzzles online because Glenda and I are complete and total puzzle nerds.
So Glenda is the person you talked about how you guys were going to enter some puzzle championship thing, and I was not allowed to be on your team because I was not a serious puzzler.
We are puzzle nerds, and I watch puzzle YouTubers now. Like there's like total puzzle.
You watch people doing puzzles online?
I do not. I watched this one gal. Her name is Karen Puzzles, and I actually, when I was in Puzzles Canada, there was a couple there. Let me tell you the story. When I was in Puzzles Canada,
never finish this episode.
I was telling like this couple was in, and they were overwhelmed, and they're like, we don't know, like we like these types of puzzles. We like there's so many here, we don't know what to choose. And I said, do you watch YouTube? And I said, you should watch Karen Puzzles. So what Karen does is there's lots of puzzlers on YouTube that do exactly what you said. They like puzzle with a video camera on and you watch them and they speed it up or whatever.
Seriously?
And then you watch them. I'm not joking.
And Karen, people watch them.
They do.
That's like watching somebody read a book.
Exactly. What Karen does is that she is a professional puzzler and she'll put the puzzle together and she'll have it from all different views and she'll stop and she'll review the puzzle pieces and she'll review the box and the graphics on it and all that stuff, like the marketing stuff around it. She'll talk about the puzzle pieces. She will do the puzzle, but she'll only show little snippets and she'll break and she'll talk about things or whatever. And then she kind of does a review.
Oh my gosh.
Her videos are like, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So I told this man, I'm like, you should watch her videos, like just check some of them out, because if you're wondering, like there's so many puzzle brands out there, like she does such good reviews that you could kind of see which ones you like, and then when you look online and you want to buy some, then you will know what brands are which, and you'll know, like, because he was concerned about the puzzle pieces, like he wanted puzzle pieces that were different sizes and different shapes, like he didn't want to have more of a traditional puzzle, like he wanted a certain thing. And anyways, so Glenda, back to my story. Glenda and I went to Puzzles Canada. I was going to say,
okay, wait, so you've been advising people in the store, but let's go back to Carrie and Glenda.
We went to Puzzles Canada yesterday.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, It was the best day ever.
It was
to
like
puzzle
hallelujah.
nerds. Like, we ordered online before, like I mentioned, but we had never been in the store. And we were kind of joking before, like, what if we get there and it's like a 10 by 10 room and there's like a couple puzzles and that's it? And we've made this like trek to the motherland, the mother puzzle land. But we were not disappointed. Like, the two of us, like, total nerds. Because when you watch, like, Glenda doesn't watch Karen, but I watch Karen's puzzles. And, like, we can get Cobble Hill puzzles and we can get, like, you know, Ravensburger puzzles, like, anywhere around here. But there's so many puzzles that are made in Europe and different brands, that wooden puzzles, like, all different kinds of puzzles that, like, you regularly don't see here. So, like, we were excited to go and, like, have access and see in person these puzzles that we usually can't buy. So, like, we went in and we're like, we pinky swore, we're like, we're not walking out of here with one Cobble Hill. Like, we can buy Cobble Hill puzzles at, like, anywhere. So we like totally nerded out. Like, we spent God knows how much time in there, like well over an hour or more. And we were in they have a showroom where you could pick puzzles and buy them, but then they have like a warehouse, and it's like not a huge room, but like, honestly, still they must have thousands of puzzles in this room.
Yes, you sent me pictures of you guys in there. It was pretty incredible. We were doing like a photo shoot.
So finally we checked out and we said to the guy, like, can we come back in and take some pictures? So then we went, but we parked everything in the car. Like, I think between me and Glenda, like, I think she bought 6 puzzles, I bought 7 puzzles, or we both bought 7 puzzles or whatever. Then we put everything in the car, and then we went back in and we did a little photo shoot. We had so much fun. Oh my goodness, Carrie. Like, it was worth the drive. And
what a great day.
You can order them online, but like, if you love puzzles, it's not the same as
being like seeing them, touching them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so awesome. So it was a great day. And if anybody likes to puzzle and you're in Canada, like, I think there's free shipping when you spend over $80. Like, if you're a puzzler, that's only like 3 or 4 puzzles.
Wow.
I think puzzlers tend to stock up.
I will definitely link to them in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, so
for sure.
Best day ever.
Best day ever.
Yeah, it's like it's up there with like the best day so far this year. And I've been to some pretty fun places. Sorry, Disney. Awesome. That puzzle
shop was pretty cool.
We'll see, and then Dayton's probably going to give us an experience that'll probably be up there on the top of my list.
Yeah, so, and keep that in mind. So in 2 weeks, we are going to have an episode where we are going to be live. We're going to record snippets for the podcast.
You say we are going to do it, so then we're accountable for it.
I am, because I'm saying it so that we don't forget. Like, we're going to chronicle our drive, our stay, our Dayton, everything. We're gonna try. Yeah, because we did try to do this when we were in Disney in November, and it was a bit challenging because we kept forgetting. So we're not going to forget. We're going to make it a point. We're going to be in the car for like 7 hours. So why wouldn't we? Right. We'll try to record snippets on the phone so that we can string it together for an actual episode while it's fresh in our minds.
Okay, and while it's fresh in your mind, you better give me your pixie dust, because I don't want you forgetting. I think you may be trying to get out of the pixie dust.
I was trying
here, right?
a little bit.
That
no, I was going to save it for the next one, but whatever. Okay, fine. So my pixie dust this week is I finally got to go for a massage, acupuncture, and get this, Carrie, I had a manicure.
What?
I know. I've never had a manicure.
You never told me that.
Yeah, I used it when I was little, maybe as a teenager. I used to get those fake nails put on because I bit my nails. But I stopped biting my nails years ago, and I don't know what to do with them. And you and I have talked about it. I've got nail polish, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I had my massage. This woman is like a genius. She is a registered massage therapist and an acupuncturist and a holistic healer.
She's a one-stop shop.
Holy mackerel. Sometimes she's doing cupping. Sometimes she's giving me needles. Like, I don't know. She just does what she does, but she's like a magician. And then when I finished that, so this is, it's a place near my house, actually, JC Spa. I'll link to them in the show notes too, for anybody that's in Toronto. But also, I decided to get a manicure afterwards.
Wow.
And yeah, so because we're going, like, this is an excursion we're doing, going to Dayton, Disneyland. I even bought shorts for the occasion. Well, not shorts, capris. But this is a big event we're going to. So I had my nails done.
You haven't left the country in months.
I know, right? I'm just like dying to get out. And yeah, so she did my nails. Lovely. We had a nice chat. And then she's like, okay, just sit there till they dry. So then I'm like, you know me, I can't sit still, right? So I'm like, okay, fine. I pay. She's like, are you sure your nails are done? I'm like, don't worry. Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. As soon as I get in the car, I smudge 2 of them. So anyway, so
You're
at least they're
sit
shaped.
and relax.
I know. At least they're shaped. I had too much to do. They're shaped. I'm going to remove this nail polish in time for Dayton, and I will just put on some clear stuff. But
new stuff.
At least they look normal, like normal people nails.
Wow.
Instead of like, look at me.
Self-care. Taking care of yourself. Getting a manicure.
And she was explaining, like they do facials there. Have you ever had a facial?
I have. A few times. You can't you can't even stand up when you're done. Like that's
Yeah. So that's on my to-do list. When we come back from Dayton, I'm booking an appointment to have a facial.
I think I'm gonna go to this place because I like that it's a one-stop shop.
I don't know why you don't come. Like if you see this acupuncturist, like she just kept saying to me, I can feel something here, and then all of a sudden she's putting needles in. I'm good with that because I like acupuncture. But I could feel it. Like and then she's pushing a spot and she's like, that's your liver. But it was on my leg. She's like, yeah, anyway. And did you know, she's like, I got to hold the chi. And I'm like, what is the chi? And
I don't need no stinking cheese.
But have you ever, and then she's like, like Tai Chi. And I'm like, oh, so it's the same thing. Anyway, she opens up your meridian, which is your blood flow. It's amazing. She's really good. She's really good. So I'll put that in the show notes. So there you go. So there's our Pixie notes. Yeah. Come on in. We should do it one day. So that's it. There's our Canadian. Thank you so much for the review. This is, so guys, like send us a note and send us some suggestions. We'd love to hear what you want to hear. I know it's all Disney and we are Disney, but sometimes people ask us questions that are outside of Disney. So I think it's fun to share.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
All right. And Carrie, we'll see you next week, which will be one more episode before Dayton. Woo-hoo! Are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
All right. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.